Once upon a time, in a certain village, there lived an old man who stayed far away from other villagers. No one in the village knew who the man was. The man had been living in a hut far from the villagers for a long time. One thing that was spectacular about the old man was his orchard of dazzling fruits. He maintained his orchard so well that the villagers passing by always fed their eyes with the fruits. The old man had tried to fence around his orchard, but it was so large and he couldn't complete it. So the children going to the river tampered with the fruits. This often annoys the old man, and he will shout at them without the children being remorseful for their actions. So whenever the children came to the river with their parents, the man always felt unhappy. A time came when the prince of the village heard of the orchard, and he went there to see it out for himself. He went there with his guards just to see and behold nature's beauty. He was indeed amazed when he came to the orchard, but as the old man usually did, he came out to see who had entered his orchard. The old man was not surprised to see the prince of the village, and as such, accorded him no respect. The prince was humble and expressed to the old man his wish to explore his orchard, but unfortunately, he was denied that. The prince asked if he could get some fruits from the orchard, and this also the old man refused. When the prince was about to go, the old man then gave him some fruits, warning him never to return. This got the prince very angry. He has never been humiliated thus and disrespected in such manner before. Angrily, on his way out of the orchard, he spilled the fruits on the ground and smashed them. Then he went home, still fuming with anger. 2 days later, the prince came back and stared at the orchard with fury. The old man again, still in his disrespectful manner, asked the prince to leave. After going round the orchard, the prince left silently and didn't return again. Gradually, the children who often come to the river sneaked into the man's orchard and refused to leave despite the man's warnings. So the man came up with some devilish plans. He called them together and promised to reward them with gifts if they work for him. The children agreed and all went into work. When they were done, they felt so tired, unable to even walk back home. The old man was glad, for he had come to the stage he had so much waited for. He knew that their weakness was at its apex. He called them all together and shared a lot of fruits they had harvested to them. Each of them felt very glad. They did not have to steal into the orchard again. The old man then gave them food and they ate to their fill, being happy and forgetting about their village. They even went to play and have fun in the river. They grew lovelier and became fond of the man. Those were the best of days for the kids. The old man, knowing it was time to effect his plans, took the children into his hut and introduced a game of ropes to them. He said that he will tie himself with a rope and then tie them also. Then the first person to get himself free wins the game. Then he tied himself with them and later untied himself, leaving the children bound in ropes. None of the children could free himself or herself. Then the man shut the door of the hut and went away, leaving those children trapped inside. The children later untied themselves but couldn't leave the hut. That night passed, and the parents of the missing children in the village could not find their children. They were very worried. The next day, they searched everywhere, including the riverine area. They searched and searched, but still they found no one. Since they knew that the orchard belonging to the old man was restricted and forbidden, they then went home crying and wailing. The village was thrown into confusion as most parents were found weeping and lamenting. Even the prince could not help. Now it happened that the old man made the children walk at night, and he also ensured that no one escaped. He was very strict and harsh to them, that every one of the children feared him. The children weeded the orchard and harvested the ripe fruits, yet none of them knew of how the old man got the fruit sold, nor how he got the food they were eating. They were just there, trapped in a hut and so sad, working all night and being locked up at day. One thing the children and every other person didn't know was the true person of the old man. He was a wizard. He usually practiced his craft at night when everywhere was peaceful. It is also through this witchcraft of a practice that he often gets his food from. He would get a very big pot, summon a ghost, and with the fumes of the ghost, he would make fire and smoke from his pot. He would then gather in front of him the fruits of the orchard and make some incantations, and the wish he would like to be granted. Then, mysteriously, the fruits would turn into money and different foodstuffs he had wished for. This was how he got the so many things he desired. He didn't lack and often presented to the children good and enough food, but kept them in bondage. One night, as the old man was making his incantations, a young boy sneaked from the hut and went behind the hut, only to see the old man practicing his witchcraft. The boy was very afraid and listened carefully The old man was telling his spiritual deities the plan he had. He had planned on using the children all for sacrifice in order to yield and boost his mystic powers. The young boy peeping was so shocked. He never knew the old man was that cruel. How on earth could he plan on doing that? The boy thought. He knew there was limited time as the next day was the day of the sacrifice. He ran as fast as he could through the other side of the hut, where he could not be seen, and headed home. He took up a shirt of his he had forgotten in the orchard and put on, after jumping and avoiding obstacles that could make him fall. He ran through the tracks bravely, shouting all along. It seemed to him that the shade was obstructing his speed, so he took it off and ran till he reached the palace. Luckily, he met with the prince and narrated everything to him. The prince was shocked and made ready to redeem those children. Very early the next day, the prince summoned the villagers and informed them of what the old man did. Out of fury, the warriors led by the prince took their weapons and journeyed to the orchard. They had planned of destroying the man at all costs. When the old man saw the warriors coming, he ran away quickly and hid himself somewhere. The prince entered a hut there and found no one. He was angry and came out furiously. He later found the hut in which the children were trapped inside. He made sure they were released and guarded by the warriors, while some warriors went in search of the wicked old man. Some of the warriors ensured the safety of every child and let them food. Fortunately, the old man was found again by the warriors. He had went in search of his magic staff, in which he used in making lightning. The warriors ran after him speedily, and as they were about to get hold of him, the old man disappeared. The warriors were shocked and started trembling. Immediately, the fruits of the orchard started withering and dying off. This was something terrible in the eyes of the children trying to run away. Most surprising was when the hut caught fire. The warriors did all they could to save the children. Those ones who couldn't run by themselves were carried. There was great lightning and the orchard was on fire. No one knew what caused all that. They only had to run, and fortunately, they all escaped, leaving the orchard in wrecks, deformed of all its beauty. When the warriors arrived at the village, the parents of the children were very glad to have their children back. They embraced each other and were full of thanks to the brave prince. The mothers were the most glad set of villagers that day. Afterwards, the land where the most adored orchard stood was in wrecks. It only bore the rope of a disastrous story in history, for it had been stripped of all its glory. This got villagers wondering who the old man really was. The king of the village, who had been away for treatment for a while, came back and was told the devastating story. He smiled and called for all the villagers. When they assembled, he first apologized for his absence and whatever they had gone through. He told them that the old man who owned the orchard had been banished even before he, the king, was born. And what he came back for with his black magic was revenge. The king applauded the young boy who had risked his life to inform the prince so that others might be saved. He also congratulated his son, the prince, for being so courageous. He then told them this: that orchard was the best and most mouth-watering orchard. Everyone saw it and admired it, and as such, our children got into this temptation. Now look, the most cherished and admired orchard has turned to a forbidden orchard. The villagers agreed with the king as he concluded with the saying, "Not all that glitters is gold."